jump in to the conversation that we started last week. And after the call last week, Hobber got kind of sideswiped by the opt-out pre-screen. And I thought that would be a great topic to discuss for people because of, it just seems like this has become a hotter topic recently. And that's just probably just more a function of, you know, it's slower, right? So more people are doing this. We're looking at, we're contributing to the problem. We're going to, I'm getting some proposals from, you know, Dave Savage and Mortgage Coach. If you watch it, he's pimping. They merged with Sales Boomerang, and Sales Boomerang is a company that one of the things that they sell is trigger leads. That not necessarily, they don't sell trigger leads. They sell your ability to monitor your clients and whether or not there's ever a mortgage inquiry, which we do that now with people who have closed like within the first 6 months that they've closed. And then I don't think we see them after that. So, you know, that technology exists, but what happens is if people haven't, you know, what happens if your clients haven't done the opt-out pre-screen sign up and you pull their credit, they're going to hear from people. And so just talk about some different ideas and strategies of people, what you do to combat this and what happened with Chris, if you can share your story very quickly of what you experienced. It was kind of a shocking, you know, development. Go ahead.
Well, first of all, I think we get them for forever.
Do we? Okay.
I got one like last week and I closed that guy in 2021.
I just haven't seen them in a while. They used to see me all the time. I don't see them anymore.
Yeah, I would, maybe we can confirm that because it'd be nice to know. If I haven't been getting any in a while, that's good, I guess. So
I'm still in getting too.
Okay, good. Yeah, I maybe we can confirm with that. But yeah, my situation was I was waiting to get a written BOE to issue a guarantee pre-approval, and the employer just wasn't getting me what I needed. And it took me like a little extra week to get because he had bonus income, so it took me like a week to get the pre-approval out. So anyway, I issued it like last Thursday, and then I always have a follow-up text the next day. I'm like, hey, Blake, did you get any questions on the conditions or anything on the pre-approval I issued? He's like, oh, dude, hey, I'm actually under contract. Like, what? Okay. He's like, yeah, I've been shopping lenders though. And I was like, okay. He's a past client, first of all, so I was really pissed. And so I was like, all right, send me the contract, send me the lender's breakdown, whatever, and just and then I was like, let's hop on a Zoom call and let's talk through it. So I just basically was like, hey man, like we've used you before, done a good job. You came to me first, blah, blah, blah. Like what? Dave got mad because I don't think I asked the right question, but I think I was like, is there anything I could have done to show more value to earn your trust or something to that extent? And
yeah,
he didn't push back.
You don't necessarily want, I don't know what I necessarily want to use that language. Like, how could I have shown you more value, or how can I show you more value? You say it like that, people are like, I don't know. That's your job.
Yeah.
And so I don't know that you're going to get a very good response to that. But anyway, go ahead.
Well, yeah, so that's why we're going to try to script it out today. So then I was like, he's like, honestly, man, no one has the stuff you do, the portal you use, which is Mortgage Coach. So I know that we show the most value. That's why I sent the email this week. I was like, I know we show the most value with educating clients with MBS Highway, Mortgage Coach, our communication flow, Fi's easy. Like we do as best as possible, as we possibly can. But the one thing he said was like, yeah, after you pulled my credit, dude, I was getting inquiries from like everyone. And then I was like, oh shit. He trusts me. Everything was fine. But then he started getting people in his ear about, oh, rates are this, rates are that, rates are that. And then he saw my Mortgage Coach at maybe 6.8 or whatever it was, 6.6, and he's hearing 6.1 or 6.3. And then he just starts, and they start, maybe Chris's rates are high. I'm gonna maybe like check around. And that's probably what happened, is my thought. So anyway, my point is I know we show a lot of value. I know we do as good a job as possible, and we do way better than most lenders. I haven't had a call on Tuesday.
There's two things here. So let's talk about, first of all, John, you and I had a call, and then I just hear from everybody else. John, you had some good scripting around what you say to your clients before you pull their credit. Can you share that? And then everybody, this is getting recorded. what I want to do, my idea before he answers, my idea is like, we got to create a library for these things, both video and then just written dialogue that we can share that, so we're going to be doing that, but go ahead, John, what do you got?
I just tell clients, and I've already built trust with them because I've already done the discovery call and everything, but I just make sure I call them before I do anything. And I say, look, I'm very sorry about this, but this is what's going to happen. I'm going to pull your credit. Your lead's going to get sold. I cannot control it. I cannot stop it. It's legal. And you're going to get calls from hundreds of lenders trying to solicit you. These are basically just bottom feeder lenders trying to grab whatever they can get. So most cell phones have a setting where you can block any calls that you don't have in your phone, contacts that aren't in there. Find that setting and turn it on for about a day and a half, and you'll be fine. And they're like, okay, got it. And 100% it works. I don't have any clients telling me anything, but I saw that there's 100 missed calls, but they don't talk to the people if you set them up. Like, these people are just scavages. Like, they're just going to call and bug the shit out of you, and I can't do anything about it.
I love that. The bottom feeder lenders. That's a great line. And that's because, what you're doing is you're making sure that, you've positioned yourself as, I love the part where you say, like, look, I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do about it. It is legal, but here's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And this is a great line because you preempted those folks. Are either of you guys walking people through? Does anybody walk the client through signing up to opt out pre-screen?
I send it to them when I have the conversation, and I'm like, this is what you can do. It won't take effect immediately, but it'll take effect for future situations like this. And then I always get questions about the do not call list too. So you should tell them about do not call, but do not call doesn't work for this. Do not call and pre-screen opt out are different. So I'm like, because my client was like, I'm on the do not call list. I was like, well, that's not going to work for this. So here's the other tool that we have. But I basically just set it up to like, essentially say like, these people are just scammers. Like, I don't say it exactly like that, but put it in their mind that these are just telephone scammers. They're going to call the shit out of you and just ignore. You're going to have to.
Well, what is the exact language that you use? Because I think scammers is a good line. I don't know.
Yeah,
I like bottom feeder lender. That's a good one.
I just say, I use the word, you're going to get a bunch of spam calls. So you're going to get
calls.
You're going to get spammed a lot. These are just people buying these trigger leads. And you're going to get 100 calls. So unless you want to talk to 100 people, just turn your phone on silent and forgive the process for the next couple of days. And it works. It's easy. But if you don't tell them up front, people are really mad because they think you had something to do with it.
That's a really good point. Who else? Casey, you look like you unmuted.
Yeah. I did something very similar to John. In every goals call, I'm finishing that by saying, hey, you're going to get a couple follow-up emails from me. One of them is going to be the pre-screen opt-out, and I want you to complete that as soon as possible. What we're trying to do, and I'll bring up this example. Have you ever put information in for an insurance quote, life insurance, whatever it is, and you get hammered? And almost every person is like, yeah. I go, that's going to happen. We're trying to mitigate that. You do not have to answer those calls. They're just dangling promotional rates in front of you, and none of it's true. It's all spam. And every person goes, okay, thanks for the heads up. And then in Flowify, I have a borrower question when they're doing their application. Have you completed the pre-screen opt-out before we pull the credit report? So
That's awesome.
Yes, and then we pull credit.
Do you put the link in there?
I don't put the link in Flowify. It's in one of the initial like welcome emails that we send right after the goals call.
So we do already send one.
We do, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I do send the link to them right away. And then I have a borrower question in their borrower portal. Once they've completed their application, have you also completed the pre-screen opt-out?
Do we know at what point that email goes out? Because I know we have it, and I know that like a flyer was created that I have sent out before, but do we know when in the process the pre-screen opt-out email triggers?
Mine's a manual push out. It's a signature.
John, do you know when it goes out?
I think the new client campaign in Surefire sends it out like as the first or second email, the second email, but I don't know exactly the timing. I need to double check that.
Yeah, I just push it out right after the goals call so they get it right away.
I
Yeah,
just
and then I
forwarded
don't
it.
know if people remember, does everyone remember like the flyer that was created for us for this? Like it's branded?
It's in Surefire.
Yeah, we have that too, if anyone hasn't created their own.
But I would not rely on the automated process here. I mean, it's nice that we have it, but that would not be what I would rely on. I would totally,
It's the
everything that you do, and that's what was so cool about listening to the Todd Duncan video training that I sent out, is that everything that you can do, this is one of the things that Chris did after he went to this. He's like, you know what? I don't have to generate more leads. I just need to convert the leads I'm already generating. And everything you do to convert is more income. So these are all, for those of you that are newer, I'm sure this probably at some level sounds really like a giant pain in the ass. Oh my God, I got to do this too. Yeah, you do. And but it's okay. It just becomes part of your process, because the more that you can do to insulate clients and from being poached away from you, you've done all the work. Chris brings up an excellent point that we just think about the power of having that conversation. One of the things, you could turn that script into something where like, and something you can't say, and here's something else I do to add value. I really care about my clients and their financial security. So I don't, identity theft is a big deal in this country. It's a huge problem. One of the things that happens is that when I pull your credit, it's legal for the credit reporting agencies to sell your data. And it shouldn't be, and I wish it wasn't, and we should all write our congressman and try to get it. But I want to prepare you, because I don't want this to happen to you. I've had clients who've had their identities stolen in the past, and it's just a nightmare to get it cleaned up. So I want to make sure that you understand what's going to happen, and I encourage you right now to go to opt out pre-screen. And so that in itself is you adding more value. You've now become like, I am trying to do everything I can to protect the customer. And you don't have to say that. They know that's what you're doing. You've just created more value, and you've just created a deeper, more impactful relationship with them by having that conversation and making sure that they understand how you're looking out for them. So all of these things add up, right? Like everything that you do improves your conversion ratio, and everything that you do when it comes to, we get into the other discussions about pricing and value. At the end of the day, we talked about it last week, overcoming a price objection is a giant pain in the ass. It's hard. It's hard to overcome a price objection. But let Chris talk to you a little bit about, Chris, I want you to share, and anybody speak up or raise your hand or unmute your mic, and I'll grab you, but share what you did, because you got the deal back, right? Like you got the deal back from the client. So I'm assuming you still have it. And
Yeah. Well, fighting again, because the other lender came back yesterday, like a week later. Anyway.
How did you win it back though?
Yeah, I also sent an email that Spire sent me on like what they send their clients. So you can just copy and paste that and do a manual send if you guys want to. So everyone should have that in their inbox right now. So yeah, I sat them down and was like, hey, let's do this the right way. Because the other lender sent a fee sheet. It was just terrible. It was nothing. It was a lower rate. And I know my client, and I know he's doing 5% down. He was leaving an exit home. He already owns a home. He was going to rent that out, buy a new one. He had to do 5% down. So I straight up was like, Blake, what's more important to you right now? Do you want a lower payment, or do you want lower cash to close? And he's like, money's a little tighter right now, because I gotta, save some money to fix up the home, blah, blah, blah. He's like, I'd rather do lower cash to close. I was like, okay, well, here's 6.6, here's 6 with like a credit, here is 6.3, and then 6.5 and 6.2 were terrible. So I did 6.1. And I was like, I can do 6.1, which is a little bit more cash to close than his 6.3, or I can do 6.6. I had to do a referral program, but anyway, I could do 6.6 with a credit. And then we went through the numbers and talked about, it was a 2-1 buy down as well. So that we talked through the 14 months, the short-term savings that you can change in the TCA. So I got to the core of what was more important to him. Was the point was, do you want a lower rate? Do you want lower cash to close? We're going to refinance your loan. We're going to take care of you when we refinance your loan in probably 14 months is why I did that, because he'll have gone from 4.6 to 5.6, and maybe we'll be in the 4s. So I was like, let's do 14 months. And he's like, oh yeah, that option saves me more money. Like, okay, then that's why we're doing that one. Where the other lender just sent him the stupid rate and that was it. And then a week later, it's like, well, I can do like a higher rate now and lender credit. I just literally got an email yesterday. I'm like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, that's what
lender-
happens when
Yeah.
the door's been opened. It's a challenge. It's everybody will admit when the door's been opened, it's a challenge. So anything that you can do to keep the door from being opened is what's critical. And by, putting a little more time and care in the opt-out pre-screen conversation could have easily prevented you from going through what you're going through now. Because yeah, at the end of the day, the customer still wants to sell value. Your goal is to keep them from looking at all, right? Like at the end of the day, like, because if they look, we all know you can find somebody, $14.97. Oh, I'll do it for $13.97. Like,
yeah,
I mean, you can take $100 off. You can just keep doing it. At the end of the day, you've got to, at some point, you got to ask the customer this question is like, dude, is the relationship, if we're going to just keep doing this, then I guess I'm not delivering the value that you need and you want to go with the cheaper deal. And I understand it's not as important to you. This company doesn't know who you are. They haven't invested any time. I mean, at some point you have to cut it off, right? You can't just, you can't just keep
I did
going.
that yesterday and he stayed with me. So let me kind of go back because I pulled credit. So the lender he was using was a coworker's lender. I looked him up. He did like 8 deals the last 14 months, like not a good lender at all. I think what happened was, people just talk. The media, they talk to their coworkers. So you just got to try to get that objection. You got to show more value as quickly as possible, so people don't have a reason to go, hey, you just closed on a home last week, Dave. Like, who's your lender? what was your rate or whatever? So you got to like stop people from talking. So I bet what happened was he was getting all those calls and he probably was like talking about it to his coworkers, and his coworker was probably like, hey, you should call my guy too. And that's probably what happened. But yesterday, when he came back, the other lender threw out a higher rate with the same cash to close as us, 6.5 instead of 6.6. So it was like $40 less a month. I was like, all right, well, I'm not changing mine, so you can go there. Or I doubt this other lender does a free refinance, and we do. So I'm saving you an extra $2,200 in 14 months, which isn't reflected in my numbers. So you can either stick with us or you can go with him. And he's like, you're right, I'll just stay with you guys. So, I think the moral of the story is we do show more value than everyone. I think. I mean, if you do it right and you do a TCA and you sit down with them and you do their goals and you show them Barry Habib stuff, no one does it better.
Who else?
I was gonna say, just to piggyback on that, one thing that's really helpful that I never really used for a long time are, the notifications on Mortgage Coach, when someone views it. When rates are moving higher, it doesn't really matter, but when rates are moving lower and you have someone who's pre-approved, maybe they haven't reached out, they haven't looked at homes in a month or two, and now they're clicking on it, like, they're gonna see a 7% rate on there. So I'm not telling them I can see that. I'm just reaching out to them, maybe with a text and just saying, hey, just FYI, I hope everything's going well. I'm not sure if you're looking at homes this weekend, but I updated the TCA for you and put in current rates. Because I've lost deals like that too through the years where like there's just assumptions made, that like, oh, that's the rate, even though you cover it during the meeting or a call or whatever, there's assumptions made that like that's their rate, and so when in a declining rate environment, use that tool that's like a trigger alert almost, right? You're getting a notification, they clicked on it, they're looking at it. You need to make sure what they're looking at is accurate, or else you could lose it like that.
Yeah, I can see a script around that too. When I'm delivering the first total cost analysis and I'm wrapping up the pre-approval, maybe a script around the facts like, no, I sent you a total cost analysis and it's based on current market rates. Depending on how much time goes by, I want you to understand something. That rate can change. It can get better and it can get worse, depends on what's going on in the market. So don't assume that what you've seen is the rate, because if it's gotten better, your rate, if the market's gotten better, your rate's going to get better. If the market's gotten worse, your rate could get worse. Make sure that we're talking and we're staying in communication. And it's again, it's just another way to insulate. The more you can keep the customer coming back to you for everything, the easier this is. It's when they go off the reservation that you lose control. Chris Haber's example, is perfect. Examples like, well, now they started talking to somebody else. It's like, well, what do you guys think about interest rates? And so you want to set themselves up. Of course, they're like, everybody's got a fucking opinion. But what's your uncle think? What's your brother think? Like, oh my God, I don't want you talking to your uncle or your brother. They're idiots. Talk to me. And I can't say that, but it's like, look, I'm available. If you have a question about this, about what's going on in the market, especially you guys probably all show them a snippet of Barry's bond chart, a bond chart of some kind, and having a brief conversation about, here's how the market moves. I watch this all day. That used to be one of my scripts was, I watch this all day. So I'm aware of what's going on in the market at any time. So anytime you're curious about where the market has gone, I mean, this is up on our screen and throughout our office, this is what we do. So again, the more, yeah, customers have access to more and more information, but I think it would be easier now than ever to talk about the fact that, look, there's so much information and all mortgage marketing is designed to do one thing, get you to pick up the phone and call them. And people are less than honest about what's really available. I'm going to tell you the truth. Right. So go ahead, Jessica.
So I really sell Zenith Home Loans. I don't know, I just got in the habit of doing this because I'm new to the business, but essentially just, selling the fact that they're pre-underwritten and that our name is recognized in the marketplace. And when they do see my offer letter and my lender letter, like my offers get more accepted than other bankers or people who are not known in our business. So, people do
Great.
Google us. We have over 500 5-star reviews on Google. And we guarantee our loans, and that's going to make the listing agent more wanting to accept your offer when they see that I'm willing to pay $1,000 per day if we don't close on time. And then also our short closes, it's like that makes you so competitive in this market. Like without having someone like me, you're just not as competitive out there when you shop. So also we pre-underwrite, and I tell them, I'm like, we actually go 4 layers deep on underwriting. So that's why I can guarantee your loan. And I talk about candor with my listing agents as well. So, and all agents, I love candor. So just telling them that like, this is super solid, and with another lender, it's not going to be the same thing. But I do all the other things too with the refis as well. So, and other pieces.
Love it. I love it. Great job. Closing 4 deals this month, right?
Yeah. And
job.
the board of appraisers. That's another thing that like everybody hates the appraisal. But if you can sell the board of appraisers, I do it all the time. Like, hey, we know the people coming out to the house. Like it's more certain that you're going to get the value on your home because we know that you're not going to get thrown for a humdinger. You're not going to have, if there is an appraisal gap, there is, but like, it's less likely if we know the people coming out there. Right.
So I think what you're talking about, to make sure that everybody understands, we're talking about, we handpicked our panel, right? So we know who the appraisers are on our panel. We can't pick the appraiser that's going to appraise your house. That's illegal, but we handpicked the panel, and we know that the panel of appraisers that we use are people that we've used in the past, and we know they know what they're doing and they're not rookies and all that stuff. So that's good. Yeah, it's at the end of the day, it's how much more can you insulate yourself? Ryan, you look like you're going to say something.
Yeah, I got a few things. So with the opt-out pre-screen, I'm just going to start signing them up over the phone when I do the discovery call. I'm just going to ask for their verbal confirmation if that's okay. I'm just going to have the verbiage and just tell them, hey, look, did you see my email about the opt-out pre-screen? Because I send them that prior to the discovery call. And whether or not they say yes, we're just going to have the conversation about what it looks like when you get your credit pulled. Because I had one of my clients tell me the other day he wants to throw his phone in the trash because he got 100 calls, and I don't want that to happen to you. So you might, okay, if we take a couple minutes, go ahead and do this over the phone, and I can almost guarantee you everybody's going to do it. So that's one thing I'm going to do.
Do we know, sorry, Ryan, do we know, is it a week before it's active? Because then you're
It's like 5 days usually.
it's the challenge where like they want to go buy a house and we're like,
Yeah, I mean, we're always going to have that challenge for sure. There's no doubt about it. That's why I think it's best to get your agents involved. Like the good agents are going to adopt this. Like the agents that have responded back to me are the good ones that are like, oh, damn, I didn't know that was a thing. I'm going to go ahead and put that in my buyer presentation. Like I'm adding that to my buyer checklist.
Yeah.
And so
Great. That's a great idea, Ryan. Just get the realtor when they're first talking to the buyer, if they're really proactive, they're like going, you want to do this. And then the way to sell it to the realtor, I'm sure I'd love to hear what you're saying, but like dude, if I can keep, my job is to keep the client married to you. And other lenders don't necessarily care if your client stays married to you. I do.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I need to take that route a little bit more. I mean, at the end of the day, it's just such an inconvenience. And I think the thing is that if your agents know about it, they can talk about it too. Because what happens is the client talks to an agent. Like I had a client go dark on me after we had our initial call because they thought I sold their information. And finally the agent was like, why aren't you like moving forward with Ryan? Well, you sold my information. It's like, okay, well, now that I prepared all of our agents about that, they can talk about it too. And they can be able to be like, no, it's not him, it's the credit bureaus. And they can preemptively talk about it, because if we can get more of our clients that come to us with this already done, it's going to alleviate that situation. And that's the way I sell it, is like, hey, look, if they come to me, like I'm always going to be talking about it, but if we're looking to work quickly on a pre-approval, it's not going to matter whether or not I tell them about it. We need to get this done prior to that.
Good call. Hey, do we get charged for soft pulls?
Yeah.
Okay. So you could do a soft pull, send them to opt out, and then do a hard pull a week later, and then you're good. But that
Yeah,
costs
I
more
would say
money,
that's worth
obviously.
it if you know that clients actually like got a good credit score.
Yeah. Okay. That costs extra money. So never mind.
Yeah. So that's my thought about that. And then just from a rate standpoint, I started doing this. Like I started just becoming extremely transparent with some clients and like taking over G's idea of doing the OB and just showing them, you know, that transparency. And I tell, like, when there's a dot on the slide that says locking in a rate. And I'm like, hey, today we're looking at today's rate, actually 5 minutes before you call. A lot of clients shop for interest rates like they do shoes. They think rates are static, right? Like you're just trying to compare one lender versus another. But guess what? Like my rate that I'm showing you is 5 minutes before we got on our call. And as you can tell from this MBS chart, it changes all day, every day. So we want to make sure that we stay in touch throughout this entire process. So that way we're quoting you the exact most accurate rates. Hopefully we're going to be looking at rates that continue to go down. So that's a great conversation that we're going to be having. All right. And then we go into
That's
the
a
OB
great
chart.
line, dude. I love that script.
Lock me in
Yeah.
right now, Ryan. Oh man, I am ready to get locked in, baby.
No, and it's good. I mean, and then you can say, and then if you talk about it in their goals call and you go to the OB chart and you can tell them like, hey, you know what, here's the chart of all the different investors that I have. It went well the way I did this, but it's like, here's a chart of all the different investors. Here's the top investor. You know, look, I'm showing you these different rates. Here's why, because typically a point goes, you know, 0.25% lower in a normal market. Well, guess what? Now you can get 0.5% lower with 0.5 point right now. And so because you said you want to keep your monthly payment lower, that's why I'm showing you 0.5% lower in rate. Let's look at the differences in the break evens. And when I talked about that with the client, it created a lot of clarity for them, I think. And so it was pretty successful at that route.
Yeah, I just think the more you can, and this doesn't have to turn into like 2 hours of conversations, but the more that you can invest in educating them on how it works, because it's how you work, right? The way I work, and my old line was, I'm going to walk you through the process of buying a home from start to finish. I'm going to show you how interest rate works. I'm going to show you how the bond market influences rate. I'm going to show you what it's like when you go under contract, how to work with a real estate agent, everything that's going to happen from the beginning to the end. I'm going to walk you through a loan, show you all the costs so that you know exactly how much money you're going to need and when you're going to need it. And when you're done, you're going to say what all my clients say. Wow, thank you. No one's ever explained this to me before. How does that sound? Well, that sounds fucking awesome is how it sounds. And so you've just now kept the customer from going like, yeah, I don't want to talk to anybody else. You're going to show me everything I need to know. Before that, I used to use the line. I bought 3 houses before I got in the mortgage business, and all 3 times, nobody explained anything to me. And it was very confusing. I didn't know what was going on. There was all these last minute changes. I always needed more money than I expected to. It was fucking horrible. And nobody told me how to save money. And so my job, I'm going to show you how to save money buying a mortgage. I love this because I love home ownership, and I'm going to show you how it works. Again, whatever you can come up with to make them go like, dude, I'm working with you. Like, I don't want to let me see who's got a better price than this. Like, 'cause people aren't going to think that if they think, man, I'm working with somebody who's going to take the time to show me how this shit works. And because again, I know the hard part comes in with what what Chris is dealing with right now, which a guy went off the reservation. When they go off the reservation, now you're fucking working. And I know we all hate it. I hated it. It's not like I never got shopped. I got shopped, and it sucked, but that was my goal, is like going, how can I stop myself from getting shopped to begin with? And then I don't have to worry about it. And so anyway, I was talking to Mike White. This is a great script. I was talking to Mike White, and that he goes, yeah, Barry Habib gave him a script a long time ago. All of our past clients, this is the response, or maybe somewhere you work this in, I'm not sure. All of our past clients will testify to the fact that we provide exceptional value and experience for what we charge. Nearly 100% of our business is repeat and referral business, which speaks to the value we deliver. And our ranking is the number one, and I added this, and our ranking is the number one surveyed mortgage company in America, backs that up.
Can you
So I'm
send
gonna, I'll share, what's that?
Can you send that or
Yeah, I
email it?
will. And then I wrote this one. I don't know if this is any good or not. Having now done all the work, so now the customer wants me to give them a better price. At the point now, like going, well, wait a minute. We worked together. I did all the deal, and now you're telling me you saw, hey, I really, that line that you get. I hate this line, and it happens all the time. Like, going, oh, I really liked you. You did so, like, but we had to go with the lower price. Like, well, then you didn't really like me, did you? You say you liked me, but you didn't like me. You didn't like me enough to stay with me. And so I somehow I'd like to work this in. Having now done all the work that I've done, providing you with the education and the expertise that I bring to this profession, along with the perfect record of performance that my company provides, asking me to lower my price now would be a little like your boss coming to you at the end of a workday, thanking you for all the hard work that you've done, and then telling you that he was going to pay you less than your normal wage for the work you did that day. And my question to you is, how would you respond to your boss? Fuck you is how you'd respond to your boss. You wouldn't say that, but I don't know if there's a way to work that in somehow. I just, whenever I wrote scripts, I always cranked one out that usually I was fired up about something. And then I was like, okay, now how do I soften that a little bit and get my point across? So I'll share those with you. I want to create a library of these that we can all add to and keep it on the hub so that everybody has access to it. What do you got, Dennis?
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, well, first off, obviously Chris got that person back because of his knowledge, and he just sat him down and said, this is what we're going to do, and this is why, and this is how it's going to work. And I think that is the biggest value that you can bring is just having that authoritative set and bringing the knowledge and providing it and the transparency. And when they're shopping, knowing the context of what they're shopping for, what the price differences are, is it really apples to apples? If it's not an obvious, point that they're going to charge, and get the okey doke on the backside, and making sure they just cover all that. And justifying your offer through just making sure they're informed and knowing everybody's role. And I think that there comes a time when people are just going to shop you, and you can't really bend. You can't keep feeding the bear. But yeah, everything has to have a context, right? If it's an important realtor relationship, and there's dynamics there that have to be attended to. But in general, if you have the knowledge base and the assurity that you're going to get the deal done, then they're going to turn around. So I didn't frame that very well, but the main thing is the knowledge base. And I think and that's what Chris once he grabbed a hold of him and sat down with him, I'm like, bro, this is what's up, and this is why. That other person doesn't have that knowledge if they're not sitting there going through exactly what.
No, not if you just got a quote.
Mr. Cooper or Loan Depot, come on. They're jokes. I mean, and those are the people that are calling off of those stupid lists.
Well, it's all over. Like there's robo dialer. There's robo dialers that are being used. It's crazy.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say, G?
I was gonna say, then you should lock him with Mr. Cooper after you win him back.
Yeah.
And then refinance them on day 121.
Yeah. And again, those, the people that are going to shop you, and if they're a real big pain in the ass, you've done everything. And if the margin's really small, it's like at some point you got to kick them loose, because they'll EPO you or some other challenge down the road, so.
No, there's some business in it.
It's like you got to gauge that client, because sometimes you're like, man, these people are just going to refinance me.
Yeah.
60 days.
I really like you. Yeah, sure you do.
Yeah, the worst part is like, I really like you. I'm gonna refer all my friends to you, but I'm not gonna use you for my own deal. Like, that's the worst. I'm gonna refer my friends, sure.
Yeah.
Why do you not like your friends? So I think it comes down to getting them, you know, the opt-out pre-screen is the first step, right? Getting them off, having a bunch of people contacting them, and then just clearly during your meeting with them, explaining. And there's enough people on this call that if anyone wants to do a more focused call on just that, right? You know, explaining how the market works and the fact that we all get our money from the same place, and then you show them Optimal Blue that all the banks from first to last are maybe a quarter off in price or in rate from each other, or an eighth. And then you show them an example of like Rocket Mortgage, how they charge 2 points and why the ads, you know, advertise rates. And then they really stop shopping. And then if someone shops after, then yeah, then we have like this third phase, which is like trying to rescue the loan. So it's like, 1, get less people to contact them, 2, explain the situation, 3, I would say at lock, like for me, when people are going under shopping on the weekends, like, man, like realtors I've been working with for like 5 years, they're like, hey, can you close this in 30 days? I'm like, are you fucking deaf? Like every single week I'm telling everyone we can close in 10 days. Is this like different somehow? Right. And so I want to be looped in. I kind of gave up on like, I'm not going to ever work weekends. Like that just doesn't seem to work because that's when people are looking at homes. And whether it was a year ago that we were trying to calculate appraisal gaps for them, you know, I want the client to know option A, option B, if it appraises, if it doesn't appraise. But that's the chance to re-loop in the realtor again. And, you know, I mean, I lost a couple of these past couple, some newer agents I've been prospecting these past couple of weeks. So frustrating because like we send over all the stuff, they don't enter any of it in there, like the guarantee, or you can waive loan availability, or fucking, we have an appraisal waiver, by the way. And like, they don't enter it, 30-day closing, and then they lose out to a cash buyer that's closing in 2.5 weeks. I'm like, you're retarded, because all of these things we could waive. And now we would have been a better situation for the seller than this cash buyer that, you know, underpriced them a little bit. So, so I'm not saying you're retarded, but we have to.
You're just thinking, you're just thinking it.
Yeah, well, I think it's important to just, for me to be looped in when they're making these offers, to reiterate to them again, not a month ago from the meeting, you know, and the realtor, all these things that we can do to help them get their offer accepted. Because just, you can't rely on the client remembering it, and you definitely can't rely on the realtor remembering it, it seems like. So that's like, that's the third phase. And then fourth phase is, you know, getting it back if someone does at that point. And you're not going to get them all back, but you know, there's some things you can do for sure. So
I want a deal back when I had a good relationship, but they pulled to like, I have to go with a better deal. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. Call that loan officer 3 days in a row and ask them a question. And then I'm gonna call you on the 4th day and let me know how that, you have to let me know how that goes. And after the second call, they never called them. They never got the same person again. And they're like, okay, you're right.
That's a good, say that again now, call the lender.
Call the loan officer at whatever, Rocket Mortgage, Wells Fargo, 3 days in a row to ask them a question. And then I'm gonna call you on day 4 and you're gonna let me know how that goes. And they said after day 2, they never got the same person and never got a question answered. I'm like, okay, do you want to continue now?
That's great.
I love that.
What I'm hearing from all of this is like, maybe we put this is us and this is them thing together that we could all have in our mortgage, in our
So in the
presentation.
chat,
Like, we have guarantees, other lenders don't. Other lenders are call center. You can call me directly, like all these things. And like other lenders use just like a bullet point. Be like, you can go with the other lender and this is what you're going to experience, or you can stick with us. Just like all of it in one page. I don't know if we have that, but.
Well, we have a million things like that. We have like, go look at your pre-approval package, because it's got like a freaking list, a laundry list of all the things that we do that make all the difference in getting your offer accepted. So we could start there. the book, Crush Price Objections, asks you to build your value in purchasing list. Like, what is what makes you the logical choice? We all know we are really good at this. Maybe when business, and maybe this is our own fault and my fault as the leader of this little band of misfits, is that maybe we don't, because it gets easy. This business can get easy. Sometimes when business is good, it's easy, right? We're just taking orders, and we just maybe forgot what got us all that business to begin with, which was we were all really focused and really good at gaining market share by letting our real estate agents know everything that we did for them and everything that we did for the clients, and making sure the client knew all the things that we did for them. And then, maybe we get a little lazy because they just call you going, "Hey dude, I need to refinance. Here's my mortgage statement." And we think that we don't have to do the same work. And that's just, human nature. And it would get easier. Maybe we just forgot to do everything that we can do to articulate the value that we provide, because I don't know that we can provide. I'm sure that there's other things that we can do, but I think the thing that we need to all commit to is making sure that we're taking the time to talk about all the things that we do with those customers before we get off that phone with them, because our goal is to keep them with us the whole time. Right. And I think that we're not going to fix this in one phone call, but it is going to be a focus going forward. And there's going to be a lot of things that we can do if we're willing to. We can become the best. We're amazing at this. Mike White is like amazed that we don't talk about our number one ranking all the time. He goes, "I don't know why you're not saying we're the best mortgage company in America every fucking day," because you are, and you have the ranking to prove it. So just say it every day. And we're getting a big plaque for the office behind where Sarah sits. That's going to be on that window. That's going to be our, that experience.com thing. So that I want us to all remember we're already doing it, and we're just not doing a good job. Maybe we're just thinking, well, everybody should just know we're really fucking good at this. Right. So anyway, go ahead, Jessica.
Yeah, I had a realtor ask me for a top 10 reasons why I'm different than other lenders. I have my top 10 reasons that my clients love working with me already, but I think that would be really, really cool to put together and kind of just call it out, like the top 10 reasons why you should definitely send your clients to me.
You share that with everybody?
I have the top 10 one for the clients, but I don't have the realtor version yet, but I can.
Oh, okay. Well, no, I mean, just email it out, because we're running late. People are dropping off. Thanks a lot, everybody. This was a great call. Let's keep this going, and we'll keep this conversation going. I'll find a place on the hub where we can start sharing these scripts, and we'll keep it going. Let's have an awesome day, everyone. Thank you.
Hey, Chris. Oh, hey, if anyone else wants to stay on, I'm thinking we should
I'll stay on.
stamp that VIP email, right? And make it 2 parts, add in the part that John said about turning off silence unknown callers. Right, just like a little paragraph. Here's step 1, here's step 2, because you're going to get these calls. You can silence unknown callers, which mine was off. So I'm turning that on. And then call blocking, you can silence junk callers.
How do you do that?
You have an iPhone?
Yeah.
Always
Setting,
preface it with after you've entered my contact information into your phone.
Yeah, John, can you just like edit that email that Spire team sent?
I would just do, yeah, here's the 2-step, like this is going to take care of you long term. This is going to take care of you over the next 3 or 4 days, so you don't get 100 calls.
Okay. Yeah, I like that. That way we don't have to wait, because my point's like, man, I don't want to like wait to pull credit. Like 6 days, I'm trying to issue pre-approval, and I can't not pull credit to issue pre-approval. So I have to pull your credit.
You can only wait and submit a TBD jumbo pre-approval without credit, it would be all set. So settings, and then go to phone. And then if you scroll down, there's silence unknown callers. And then right below that, there's call blocking. And in that menu, there's silence junk callers.
This is fucking huge. What a great thing to share with your client.
Yeah, let's like screenshot it so they like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just silence unknown callers, and then what's that?
So under
Call blocking.
Yeah, right below that is call blocking. Inside that menu, there's silence junk callers.
And you want to have that green, okay.
Yeah, I had that on already, but. Cause no, well, like, it depends. It may not work. Well, I guess for you guys, it may not work for everyone. If you use your cell phone,
Oh my God, I didn't fucking know I could do that.
yeah.
There's so many things on the iPhone that you can do.
This is my Android. I was like, I didn't want to say Android. You guys all know I'm an Android person, but like going, it's on your
Weirdo.
Android too.
Yeah.
Block calls from unknown numbers. Oh my God.
I had no idea.
Cause I get
Yeah.
hammered with, Lori and I both because we have rental properties. Everybody buys, somehow they get your freaking phone number. I get robo dialed 20 times a day.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we need to write to
My old
Congress. That's
business,
kind of
Dave.
where. it should go.
I can give you some insight on that someday if anybody wants to grab a coffee and learn about that ugly world.
So
So I think.
it isn't one thing, guys. We're not gonna, that's what my takeaway from today is like, it's not one thing. It's a bunch of things that we can do to continue to show value. And I just think, hey, can I show you something that a lot of people don't know they have on their phone? And the reason I want to show it to you is because I really care about my customers' well-being. It drives me crazy the way I get spam called, and I figured out a way to stop it. Did you know that you could block unwanted calls on your phone? I mean, dude, at the end of the day, you're going to stop the whole opt-out pre-screen thing from even being a thing, except for the emails. And then you can go into the conversation about like, here's what's going to happen though. If you're not opt-out pre-screen. I love what Ryan does, like going, let's just do this. I'm going to log you in. I'm going to like sign you up. You're going to be, you can only go 5 minutes. You can only go 1 year or 5 years, I think is all you can do. You can't do it forever. You can do it forever, but you have to do it in writing. Yes. Anyway.
We need someone who's smart with stuff like that, because you know, like sometimes like Mortgage Coach, they'll do like presentations where they do like a phone share, right? Like that's on the screen. I don't know how to do that, but I think it's important. That would be super easy. You could have a short video if you have an iPhone, a short video if you have an Android, and just walk them through where that is, but I don't know how to do that. Someone does in the marketing department.
Somebody knows how to do that. Let's do that.